All right. So we are here for the Dating 101 Masterclass with me, Jessica Renard. So to give you some background on who I am and why you should care what I have to say. So I have been a sex therapist for the last year and 4 months. I've been a matchmaker for the last 5 months. And I've done lots of reading on this topic and realized at one point when I was talking to my supervisor, Natalie, that this is a place where we need a lot of help, just collectively as humans. And so, like, what can we do about it? So we do have a couple of other events that I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of. There's a 102 masterclass. It is 4 hours, and it's this Friday, April 14th from 4 to 8. There is a $20 fee. It is online. And then we're doing an in-person 102 masterclass Sunday, April 29th from 1 p.m. To 5 p.m. on a Saturday. That is also a $20 fee, and then that is in person. So if you would like to know more after this particular class, feel free to check out the other events. We would love to have you. All right. I also wanted to let everyone know we have a survey, and the survey is to just ask about how you felt about the event, if it was helpful. Would you like to learn more about therapy? Would you like to learn more about matchmaking? The link will be at the end of the presentation so that people don't take the link and run away. And we'll also put it in the meetup group. So if for some reason you miss it, you'll be able to see it there. We will put that in there at the end. If you fill out the survey, we will be selecting people to get a free 50-minute consultation with myself. And that can be talking about matchmaking, therapy, or a combination of. And you'll be notified. We're collecting emails with the survey via email. So make sure that that email is an active email that you can be contacted in if you are interested in a free 50-minute consultation. All right. So, okay. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen and then share the other screen. Actually, let's see. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about why we're here, and just feel free to put comments in the chat of kind of what this looks like, but can we all agree that dating is terrible? If you've been on a date and not know what to do, or if you have tried dating apps, if you've tried to figure out what that looks like, dating is not great. And I don't have anything to necessarily make it better, but hopefully I can make it a little bit more successful in finding some partners that will be worth your time and effort. Yes, we will get into this. All right, so first I wanted to give a caveat before we get like super into things. I may be saying things tonight that will hurt your feelings a little bit or potentially break your heart a little bit. This is not to intentionally hurt your feelings. This is just because we have to approach some harsh truth in order to improve and get better. But I do want to give you the agency that if you do not want your heart broken, if you do not want to hear these harsh truths, you may not want to stay for the rest of it. So if you get to the end and you find out, like, I don't really like that Jessica woman, she said the mean things, do not say that I did not warn you, because this is your warning. All right. So getting into what we're looking for. So I've got some interactive activities that I want to share with you all. All right. So this particular poll is active. You should be able to go to pollev.com /, I'm not sure what the slash is, Jessica Renard 903. And then you can also text and then put 3760 once you join. I don't know if presenting, what does that look like? All right. So what we're looking for, link in the chat. That's probably a good call. Let's see. I might be able to just type it out. Hold on, everyone. Let's see. Poll TV. All right, so that should be the link. You can also text Jessica Renard 903 And the number you're texting that message to is 37607 to join. Has anyone been able to join? Can you see anybody in the chat? And you can also put this in the chat. I was just hoping for a potentially interactive, I don't know if people are able to get in or not. If we're not able to get in, we can also just put this in the chat. So what qualities are you currently looking for in a partner? Logging in now. Okay. Honesty. Love that. Emotionally mature. Oh, honest, kindness, empathy, ambition, trust. Ambitious, mature, family oriented, respect, relatable, kind, emotionally mature, stability, compassion, respect, romance, ambitious, honesty, mature, like animals, kind to people, three-dimensional, ooh, respectfulness, a go-getter, honesty, emotionally stable, open-minded and caring, acceptance, honesty, support, consistent. I love all of these. Equality. Accountable. You guys are doing so well. Funny, honest, and emotionally available, humble, and takes accountability, considerate. Yep, that was echoed.
Jessica, in the chat, we also have driven, able to communicate, intelligent, being active.
Okay, this is so awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and admit my bias in front of you guys. I was thinking that we would get more physical qualities, and so I love all of these amazing qualities. What is really funny is the one thing that I have on my qualities to look for, no one has mentioned yet. So very interested to see what you guys think of that. And for some reason, my hand is raised, and I don't know why my hand is raised or how to not make it raised anymore. Not inherently evil. Oh, hun. All right. Okay, so let's stop presenting with that. And then I think we've got another one, and we can open that one. Maybe. Oh, yep. I was not patient. All right, so let's activate that one. And then you should be able, there we go, to start voting. So this is asking, how do we meet potential partners? What does this look like for everyone? Out in the wild? No, we've got some dating apps. About 50-50 so far. I love seeing these change. This makes me so happy. I think it's super interesting that nobody meets anybody on like Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram. Oh, I also want to know what the other method is. Attending social events, homebody, online dating. All right. So it looks like right now with the majority of our population, because it's kind of settled a little bit, we typically meet people out in the wild. So this is lovely to do because, again, you are going to obviously have a little bit more success maybe meeting people in the wild. And we'll kind of talk about what dating apps look like. But we have one more activity. Friends would be the other method. Dating app, in-person social networking event. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Okay, we have one last one. Let me make that. Present. Okay, opinions on dating apps. Okay. Okay, so we're feeling very meh. We've got 64% meh, 7% love searching for potential partners, and 29% I loathe even seeing the app icon on my phone. Absolutely suck. In-person social events. Okay, so fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Let's see. I'm gonna exit out of this real quick and then pull up. So I have a video that I thought was really interesting that I wanted to share with you all real quick. And I just have to share the other screen that it is on. And I have too many tabs open. So pause real quick while I figure out what tab it's on. All right. And then share for sound. All right, so this is a video that was actually shared in one of my matchmaking Facebook groups, and it's a fantastic link. I'll actually put the link in the chat, so if anybody wants to go check it out. You can do the calculation of your potential soulmate in your city. And the video is really interesting, so we're just gonna watch the video real quick. It's like 3 minutes. Can everyone hear it?
A soulmate.
800,000 people live in this city, so it couldn't work.
What? So what?
800,000 people live in this city. Only half are guys, so 400,000.
Yeah.
And in a relationship, ideally you'd want to be with someone around your age, and that's like a third of that. So
It's a third of that.
right, it's 130,000 guys. Now, not all of those guys are single. Really, only about half are. So 65,000 available guys.
Yeah.
So out of those guys, how many would you actually find attractive?
Out of how many?
Out of 65,000. At best, 1 in 20. At best. So out of that, how many are going to bore you?
I don't know. Most of them.
And so let's say that you find 1 in 20 of those guys somewhat interesting.
Yeah, but only some of those are gonna find me interesting back.
All of them will find you interesting. But now we're down to 16.
16. Well, then there's things like chemistry.
You'll click with 1 in, I don't know,
Maybe like let's just say it's 30.
30 people.
So what's that then?
0.53.
It's less than one person.
And how would you find this person?
Fate. What?
It's just at the beginning of every proof you usually write, assume there exists X.
Right.
Maybe X is fate.
Maybe.
All right, so I just wanted to share that with you of potentially doing the calculations of how many potential soulmates are in your city. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing that so that I can share the other one. To event. Maybe. There we go. All right, so we looked at less than one. So the things that it talks about, what are your thoughts? What are some things that people thought about when looking at the calculations of who might be right for you in this? Any thoughts? Feel free to put it in the chat. No thoughts?
Jessica, my thought is that was sad.
It is kind
Like
of
0.5,
sad.
like I was good at about like 1 in 16, but golly, that just like, oh, hurt my heart. Somebody
Yes.
put in the chat, yes, depressing. Like,
So oh, go ahead.
no, it's just like my life is left up to fate. Like, say it ain't so.
So this is one of the things that I think we kind of need to talk about, because like, what is limiting those numbers? Looking for a good friend. I love that. And that's actually one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. So one of the things, and again, you guys did amazing on the qualities. So as a matchmaker, I get a lot of people putting a lot of emphasis on physical qualities. So like I have one particular client who wants to look for a particular denomination of Christian, which is a little hard to find, but won't date them unless they're 5'10" and above. And it's a nationwide search. And so being able to figure out what is the thing that is ultimately important, what will make a good relationship, what makes a good partner. And that's a lot of the things that you guys actually put in the qualities. So I think that we're not necessarily having an issue with how we're evaluating them, unless we're saying all of the right things, but then actually using different parameters to hold up our potential matches to. And I can't answer that question for you. You guys are going to have to answer that for yourselves. So one of the issues with some of the physical qualities is they're all changeable. Body type can change if you have kids, if you gain weight, age, height can even change. People shrink as they get older. You could be in an accident where you need to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. None of those things are permanent. And so if we focus too much of our attention on the physical, we're really kind of missing the boat with a potential partner. And so wanted to kind of throw those things out with the physical. And then with dating apps, looking at using dating apps, the problem with dating apps is we see this large variety of selection, and we assume that because we can filter, we should filter. And using a lot of these pictures as we're assuming that this is how this person really is in real life. We're assuming there's a person on the other side of this. We are like, it's just really challenging because it puts up a lot of barriers that we don't even realize it's putting up for us when we start looking at, well, if I can filter on college education, why shouldn't I? It also assumes that I'm a person. Absolutely. Not everyone are people. We've definitely learned this through catfishing and robots and all of those fun things that we encounter while dating. So some of the misconceptions about men and women, I just wanted to talk about, and I wanted to give the example of Snow White. So I'm assuming everyone has seen the Disney movie Snow White, or at least knows the gist of Snow White. Yes? Anybody wants to be like, I have never actually seen Snow White and I have no idea what's in it? Anybody? So one of the things that I am very passionate about is some of the representation that we had when we were growing up. So why this is important is because we don't always pay attention to how we are seeing media and how we are seeing representations of men and women in movies, on television shows, in romantic comedies. And then we start to assume that this is the way that women are, or this is the way that men are, or if I find the right guy, he's going to rescue me. And so we're just going to talk about Snow White real quick. So looking at the prince who rescues Snow White in the movie, what do we know about him? We think he's a prince, but those qualifications are a little bit shaky. Like, where is his kingdom? He's good looking. Okay. Potentially. We know that he kisses dead people in the woods, which is a little creepy. We don't know anything about him. We know what he looks like. I think they sang together at one point, and he kisses her awake. Is that a qualification to start a relationship with? And she just rides off with him. So like, what are his passions? What does he do all day? How is he connected to, right? You know, is he attracted to live women? Or is he just going around kissing dead people? Like, we assume that he's financially stable. We don't know what the king has done with the kingdom. We don't know the qualifications. He's a prince. We don't know what that means. Like, how large is your kingdom? Are the people ready to overthrow the kingdom? This did not work out well for so many monarchs. So like, just looking at what some of these look like, and then looking at her behavior. So one, she just is like, oh, yep, you kissed me awake. Let's go on and live our lives together. We have no information about her. We know she likes to sing, potentially likes to keep house, hangs out with people in the woods. Like, all of these are really questionable. Like, hangs out with a bunch of guys. Yeah, we're not entirely sure what's going on. Maybe there's some caretaking issues. But like, once we start peeking apart some of these movies and some of these rom-coms and some of these shows, we start realizing so many things that are like, oh, he's attractive, so of course he's the love interest. But a lot of those rom-coms start with such poor behavior towards one another. Like, there's controlling behavior, or they're outright aggressive, and then suddenly there's something that changes and you see a heart of gold, and I can be the person that changes them. Where, you know, like, those are problematic storylines. And so with men, when matchmaking, looking at, they typically want younger and prettier, and women want taller and financially stable. Like, none of those things talk about your personality, or whether or not you're going to be able to have conversations with them, whether or not you're going to raise children with them, whether or not you're going to want to spend time with them for the rest of your life. And so being able to realize that men and women actually do have a lot in common. We all want connection. Intimacy is important to us. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. And we're ultimately looking for that person to be able to be vulnerable with, to be able to share our lives with. And so sometimes when you start thinking about all of the things of like, well, women always do this or men always do this, it trips you up, because using an all or a never, and I'm going to go ahead and say it in the same sentence, never work. So being able to understand that it's about the individual person that you're with, and what does that look like? So now going into how matchmaking and therapy are different. And I wanted to give just kind of a brief overview of what that looks like, in case someone was not familiar with matchmaking, in case somebody was not familiar with therapy. So with therapy, it requires you to put in work on yourself and look at your behavior and what you want to get out of it. So there's some introspection, there's some yeah, absolutely, Laura. Somebody to just be with you where it counts. Therapy is one of those things where you are looking at your behavior, you're looking at things that you want to change, and you're getting an objective opinion to be able to give you feedback on that. Like, what does this look like in your life? How would you look at changing it? With matchmaking is more of a process that requires faith in your matchmaker. So my particular matchmaking service does introductions, is what it's called. Nobody sees any pictures. So the matchmaker is the only person that sees pictures of the client or of the potential candidate that you're pairing them up with. So when we're looking at compatibility, we are taking some of the physical things into account for what the client is looking for and what the candidate is looking for. But ultimately, we're matching based on, you know, what place does religion place in your life? What does your family look like? What does your hobbies look like? What do those things, how are those things in alignment with the people that we're matching with? Also, to just give a little bit more information on how therapy works versus how matchmaking works. So therapy, one, I would 1000% recommend shopping around for a therapist that works with you, because if you don't like your therapist, you're not going to want to go and talk with them about the things that are going on. And you need somebody that's also going to challenge you. So they should not be your best friend, and they should not be somebody that you absolutely loathe talking to. So it's finding that connection with someone that you feel that you can be vulnerable with and honest with, but somebody that also calls you on your bullshit. Because that's really important, because there are a lot of things that we go through in life that we believe are true or we think are fine. And then somebody points out, they're like, hey, that's actually not really helpful. And you're like, oh, okay, maybe I need to do something about that. With matchmaking, how that works is we have a couple of different kind of categories. We have clients who pay for the matchmaking services. So they work with a matchmaker specifically. And that matchmaker helps put them on dates. And so the way that works is we screen potential candidates to make sure that they show up how we believe that they're going to show up, so we don't have any catfishing. And then we arrange for a time and a place to meet, and then both of the people are there and show up, and you have a conversation. And so it's one of those things, and this is kind of going into, you're now getting into the qualities to look for in a partner and why. So the 3 qualities that I think that you should look for in a partner, this is not to say that there are only 3. You all listed an amazing set of qualities. These are kind of the bare basics and potentially things to look for to go out on a second date. Typically, the research shows that you're not going to be 100% certain whether or not this person is a potential match until 3 dates in. So you need to give attraction a little bit of time to take root. Potentially, we look at the first date being something where you can actually have a conversation. So dinner or brunch where you're eating and you're also able to converse with the person that you're with. Then we look at a potential activity date. So what are you doing? How are you occupying your time? And how are you seeing this person in a different environment than you have previously? Maybe you're learning something new. Maybe you're going for a hike. Maybe you're seeing them outside and it's sweaty, or things get rough, or they have to do something that's a little bit more challenging. How does this potential partner handle those things? And ideally, the 3 qualities that I have here. So one, looking at curiosity. Curiosity, I would have to say, is number 1, the most important quality to look for in a partner and to have as a partner. So if we can approach life with curiosity instead of expectations, instead of judgment, instead of this is not the way it's supposed to go. Being able to be like, okay, what makes you do that? Or what is going on for you? What emotions are coming up for you? Who do you have in your life that you care about? What do you love doing? What makes you smile? Looking at curiosity or looking at problems with curiosity. Like what went wrong here? What are we missing? What are we not communicating correctly? Being able to be curious makes for a great first date because you're asking questions and you're learning about them. You don't necessarily want it to be an interview. And we have had feedback on some of our dates of like, it just felt like they were asking questions and getting responses, but being able to dig into some of those responses. So if you feel like it's difficult going on dates because you're not entirely sure what to ask, maybe have a set standard of questions that you're like, okay, I need to learn one story about their childhood. I need to ask about their parents. I need to ask about their friends. I need to ask about a hobby. And that can be a standard set of questions that you ask anyone. And being able to, if something comes up with that, get curious, find out what that looks like. Obviously, we're not trying to dig up trauma or horrible stories on a first date. So, being empathetic and understanding that, like, if somebody doesn't want to talk about that, be respectful, and hope that they also have curiosity in you. So it's good to bring curiosity, but you also want to see that in a partner. Are they asking questions about you? Are they interested in your life? Are they interested in what makes you tick and what makes you smile and what frustrates you? And those things are really, really important. Next, looking at something that is in common. So typically this could be a job, it could be faith, it could be a hobby, it could be the fact that you both have dogs, it could be that you both love to travel, but something that you would be able to do together or talk about that the other person has a shared knowledge base or interest in, so that you can bond over that particular activity or conversation. That's really helpful to be able to start building those conversations and being vulnerable with someone, because if you have something in common, you feel a kindred spirit towards. You feel like, okay, we have this to talk about. One of the things that I think is also a pitfall of some of my couple clients is looking at, we need to do everything together. We need to talk all of the time. You don't. You don't need to have everything in common, and you don't need to talk all of the time. Being able to have that space or have other interests to be able to come back together and tell you each other about the new thing that happened, or the thing that you were really excited about, or the experience that you had when you were spending time away from your partner, to be able to bring things back to a couple that's new and exciting, and giving each other space to grow, not only as individuals, but in their own friendships, making sure that they have support, making sure you have support. So something not in common just kind of gives a break and allows you to, one, come back together and discuss something interesting that's not the same. And then also just have space to develop those supportive relationships. Oftentimes, couples think that they need to get all of their needs met by the other person in the relationship, and that's just exhausting for everyone involved. For the most part, there's not really been a situation where one person has met all of your needs. Even as a mother, typically there's somebody else that is being relied on to help meet your needs. It could be a teacher, it could be a co-parent, it could be extended family, it could be babysitters. But trying to be there and meet every single need that you have takes a lot. And so we really need to look at what supports are there to be able to help the couple come together in a place of less stress, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to pause real quick because I feel like I've gone through a lot of stuff. What questions does anyone have?
Come just to put it in the chat and I'll read them out.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Feel free to put them in the chat.
It just dawned on me that everybody can hear me too.
Nobody has any questions? Maybe they're just typing. We'll just give them a second.
No questions yet. I think the question that I have is the something not in common. I don't know why that scares me, but for some reason that scares me. Yeah. So I don't know why, but yeah, I think I always thought I want something that we have everything in common. And knowing that's not realistic, but yet, I hear people say, like, we're the bestest friends. We do everything together. We have everything in common. And so I think to hear you say, okay, also look for a partner where you don't have something in common really is scary. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think it's one of those things that that separation or that space, I guess I also look that if I had somebody that was a carbon copy of myself, how would I be growing? How would I be
Yeah.
challenged?
Mm-hmm.
How, like, I feel like that would just be really dull.
Yeah.
We do have some questions coming in, so I do want to address those. Oh,
yeah. So I'm going to go. Let me try to find. So one person said, we don't have to do everything together, but sometimes should be, but sometimes should be important, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's absolutely why I have the something in common.
Gotcha.
Because you have the thing that you're bonding with, you have the thing that you're doing together. Maybe it's work, maybe it's some hobbies. It could be more than one thing. And that's why I don't have numbers on those. It's just one of those things. It's good to have something to bond over, and it's good to have different interests.
Yeah. All right. Harold was also saying something not in common can cause a deal break, but not scary. And so I think I see what he's saying with that sometimes that not in common thing could be a deal breaker, but not to live in fear of that with that.
Well, and a lot of the times, like, I'll have couples that are like, well, I don't want to be hurt, or I don't want to get hurt. And I'm like, if this is going to be another break your heart moment, you're going to get hurt. We're all human, and we're all going to hurt each other. The more that you are invested in someone's life and in someone's story, not only are you going to hurt them, the likelihood that you're going to hurt them goes up because of sheer volume of interactions that you're going to have with this one person.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I also got a direct message talking about, okay, you have something in common, but you're not physically attracted. And I absolutely do want to talk about this. So sometimes I feel like physical attraction is
overrated.
It's somewhat overrated, but also that it can grow. And that I have 100% met people that were just visually stunning and gorgeous, and I would want to be with them. And then they open their mouth and talk, and I'm like, oh, all right. No, that's entirely gone. And then there's some people that by their actions, by the things that they are saying about how they talk about their world, you're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is attractive. And I love that passion. And maybe I don't want to go and make out with you right this second, but like, I want to go on a second date with you. I want to get to know you better, and physical attraction will grow. So there is a lot of actual research on whether or not that initial attraction influences the strength of the relationship. And it doesn't, because you can have an attraction and the relationship not go anywhere because you don't have your values that are similar. You don't have anything in common. Maybe you aren't curious, or they aren't curious, but you're attracted. And like, okay, so maybe that provides good sex, maybe, but that's not even an indicator of good sex necessarily.
All right. And Laura is saying that there's a person that the person I'm interested in does not share my interest, but we definitely have an attraction. What do you have to say to that? Can they pick a shared interest and go from there?
I think it might be really good to try and find a shared interest. So maybe it's not something, because I think trying to get somebody interested in something that you're interested in, they're just not, would be hard, but you might be able to find a shared interest that neither of you are currently interested in. So potentially taking a cooking class, or going to play laser tag where both of you are feeling a little uncomfortable, and you can kind of bond over like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I feel like, maybe it's a painting class where you're, like, I don't know that I feel super comfortable being this creative. Be like, okay, I don't either. Let's just see what we can do and see what this looks like.
Yeah, with that. And so, Jessica, and also that shared thing, could it be like just our local church? Can it be like family? And so we're going to come together and build a family, and that'll be our shared thing because we both want kids. Could that be the shared thing?
I think it absolutely could be the shared thing. I think one, if the shared thing is we both live in this town, that's probably not enough to like bond over. But it could be something to bond over if you both like really love downtown Atlanta and you love going to the shops there and you love looking at the new graffiti and you love, particular aspects of a town. And that's what you enjoy doing because you like getting out there and engaging with certain aspects. So it just kind of depends. If your faith is really important to you, a common church or a common denomination would be incredibly bonding.
Yeah.
And so being able to sing with someone in church, being able to pray with them, being able to listen to a sermon together, I could see how that could bring people together.
Yeah. Okay. So Harold was saying initial attraction can be lust. I don't know if he was saying that was good or that was bad. And then we also have Chauncey, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, wanted to say, what about physical attractive as it relates to sexual attraction? And they were saying, I find that these things correlate for them subjectively with that.
Okay.
And so I don't know if that was a question or just kind of a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. This part was a question. What about physical attraction as it relates to sexual attraction? So is there a difference? Should one weigh out more than the other? What do you think?
Sex is important. I am a sex therapist. I can't say that sex isn't important. I think intimacy is really important, and what that looks like can vary greatly. And looking at what if you were to try it? Like, again, kind of approaching it with curiosity. Like, maybe I'm not wanting to go at it on the table of the restaurant with this person, but maybe I could try kissing them. What does this look like? And are there pieces in my head that are getting in the way where, okay, so how many people am I not physically attractive to because I'm not sexually attracted to them? And when does it become more of an issue of I just can't find anybody attractive?
Yeah, with that.
Like, are you putting those blocks in your way so that you don't have to be vulnerable? Are you putting those blocks in your way so that you don't have to get naked with someone?
Ooh, that's a really good one. And I think physical attraction can change. Yes. And so it needs to be, I think, more than physical attraction with that, because, God forbid a tragedy happens that has the partner looking different. I mean, and that could be as simple as, a car accident that doesn't let you take a person who used to work out every day, and now they have a car accident and their leg is messed up and they can't work out for a while, or a couple of back surgeries. And so I think I want physical attraction to be more than just based on their physical body looking like it does, because it's going to change. Like, it's going to change, period. With that. And so I think I'd love physical attraction for people to be more of I like this whole person. I like the package in general. That most adults usually actually wind up gaining some weight in life, just kind of as they get older with that. And so am I overall pleased with their body? And Mark said something that I want to get back to. I don't want to get too far from it. He was saying early on, when someone is interested in you, they can mimic back to you all the things they feel you want or are looking for, not necessarily lying, but more just wanting to make a good impression. And Mark, I'm so sorry. I think your exact words are "but net," and I think you're trying to say something else, but you are not.
You can't get a good read on them. So, like, how do you get around that? So being able to, again, I go back to curiosity. So, like, really, you love reading these books? Like, what's your favorite author? Like, what's your favorite book of that author? You've seen all 8 seasons or 12 seasons of Grey's Anatomy? That's amazing. I love when these characters bloods, blah, 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 blah. What's your favorite moment?
Mm-hmm.
So not to say that you're testing, but you're believing them and diving in and adding that curiosity. So
Yeah.
like, that's awesome that you love race cars. What is your favorite driver? I loved when this happened at this particular race. Like,
Yeah.
believing them at face value and diving in. And if that doesn't hold up as well, being like, I really don't want you to feel like you need to like race car drivers as much as I like race car driving. Like, I want you to like your own things. What are you interested in? And going back to that curiosity.
Yeah. I also wanted to say the research has showed, multiple research studies over multiple years, that kind of new love energy, that new excitement energy cannot last no more than about 2 years. And so I'm going to say, give it time. And so probably don't marry anybody 6 months after you meet them. One of my friends likes to say, like, get to know them in all 4 seasons.
I've also heard that it's hard to maintain a lie over all of the seasons. Like,
correct with that. And as therapists, we both know like seasonal depression is a thing. And so at the very least, like, really get to know somebody through all 4 seasons before you make any like big lifelong decisions. Even if you feel confident, you can wait another 6 months. Like, just let's make sure we get enough data. Okay, so we have 9 minutes left because we want to honor people's time and make sure we're getting them off. But somebody wanted to know the difference between intimacy. Wait, hold on. First of all, can you define physical versus sexual, I think, attraction?
So physical attraction is like, I like their hair. I like the way their eyes crinkle. I like their smile. Whereas intimacy is more of, I love the way they hold my hand and squeeze it when we go over a bridge. Or I love the way that you walk with me in the evening together so that we can exercise and spend time together. I, like the way that you rub my back when we're in the kitchen together. So like, there's a difference between physical attraction and intimacy.
Okay. What about physical attraction and sexual attraction? How would you define that difference?
Physical attraction and sexual attraction. So I firmly believe that our largest sexual organ is our brain. And has anyone ever talked to somebody and the way they said something was like, oh, that's a turn on, or that's amazing the way that you think, or that's attractive. And so I think that like, we don't know what people are capable of intimately until we know them and allow them to feel vulnerable and comfortable with us. And a lot of people might surprise you of what their focus is and how they want to take care of you, how they want to take care of others. And that could be in or out of the bedroom. If that makes sense.
All right. I think that makes sense. It makes sense to me. Tara Atara, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, has I think an excellent question. And this will be our last question. So you can, because we had some people who came in late, so I need you to re-offer everything you offered at the beginning. But her question was, how do you weed out a guy that is saying all of the things you want to hear because his underlying motive is sex? How do you weed out a sincere man versus a man who is dating multiple women and playing games?
So
that's a good question.
It is a good question. And again, I would say curiosity. If there is, ask them questions. And if they are interested in sex, ask them questions about sex. How many partners have you had? How have you been safe with your previous partners? Like, how have you discussed sex in the past before having sex? Like, a lot of our culture talks about sex like, oh, if you just meet the right person, you just fall into bed with them. That's not a good plan. Like, you should have a conversation. Like, do you have any STIs? Is there anything I should be aware of? Do you have a sensitive back? Or are there any parts of your body that could be harmed? Because I don't want to hurt you. Being able to have that curiosity. And if they really are after sex, they'll say it at some point. Like, they'll just be, this is what I want. Okay, this is what I'm prepared to offer you. And if you're not okay with that, then maybe this isn't the right match for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did put the
that's fine.
survey link in the chat, and then I'm just going to go to the last page. So again, talking about our announcements, we do have a 102 masterclass. So this class is going to go more into attachment styles or how we connect with people. It's going to go into some communication and how we are able to articulate our needs and communicate our wants to those that we want to have a relationship with. It's going to talk about conflict resolution issues. So what do we do when there's a problem, when we fight? Like some couples are like, well, we never fight. There's some other things
That's
going on
not a
there,
good thing.
potentially. Yeah. That's
not a good
maybe
thing.
not the best thing. So that means one person is probably suppressing their wants and desires. So we're going to talk about a lot of that on the 102. So we have an online version. It is $20. It's going to be on Friday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then we have an in-person Dating 102 Masterclass Saturday, April 29th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. EDT. And that is going to be held in Marietta. And that's a $20 fee as well. So you all have the survey. If you want to fill out the survey and just get an idea of what you thought about the class, are you interested in a consultation? Are you interested in therapy? Are you interested in hearing more about matchmaking? Anything like that, I would recommend filling out the survey link. And then I think we do have a few more minutes for maybe one or two more questions.
Yep, we have exactly 4 minutes. And
Cool.
so if anybody wants to put a question in the chat, or if you guys would, if you appreciated this, if you learned something new, if you got something for Jessica, feel free to put that in the chat as well. And they must be all filling out the survey link, Jessica.
I know, right? We've already got 2 responses, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. I appreciate your time. And just if nothing else, the fact that we had over 100 people sign up for this talk, you are not alone. You are not suffering in silence. There are other people that are out there that are dealing with the same things. And we have to figure out how to make it better for everyone, because right now no one's enjoying themselves.
Right. All right. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
All right. Good. I think goodbye. And so I'm gonna end the call.
Sounds good.
All right.
Have a good night.
Good night.